welcome. I am Fernanda, hitchhiking stars, bringing you astrological information for personal growth, for becoming the best that you can be and creating the beautiful life that you want to live. So we're going to be talking about the full moon. So the full moon is going to be happening on the 4th of June 2023 at 13 degrees Sagittarius. So the sun will be at 13 degrees Gemini and the moon in Sagittarius. So the first thing as I look at the astrological chart of this full moon is to think about the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. So when we have an emphasis on Gemini and Sagittarius, there is a strong flavor connected with information, understanding, worldview as well, having a sense of what the world is about, what do you believe in as well, especially with the Sagittarian full moon, and the rational mind with the sun in Gemini as well. So we have is the axis, what I like to call is the axis of learning. So we're usually learning when it comes to Gemini or Sagittarius, whereas Sagittarius is expanding and thinking about the bigger picture. Gemini is rationalizing and thinking about any immediate information and analyzing this information as well. So we have an emphasis in that theme because of this two signs being under the spotlight in this full moon. As you've heard before, I like to think about the Sabian Symbols when I'm thinking about lunations. And the 13th degree of Sagittarius relates to the name of it, or the phrase for it, is the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. Now, what that relates to, and what I find interesting thinking about these two signs as learning, the Gemini and the Sagittarius, is that this Sabian symbol in particular is talking about the power of spiritual ancestry. So that gives a little bit of a clue as well of where we could be digging deeper with the information available, with the information that might come up. Remembering that full moons are connected with a sense of culmination of something that becomes very obvious, some information that really comes to us, something that we can really see, that we can really almost touch, let's put it that way. So it could be connected with ancestral spirituality and what our ancestrals believed as well, and how to reconnect and realign with those beliefs as well, potentially. So this could be some of the one of the main flavors with this full moon. So it would be great for rituals connected with ancestral line, with spiritual, especially the spiritual ancestry, as I mentioned. Another important characteristic of this full moon is that the planet ruler, basically both rulers of the moon and the sun are in Taurus. So Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and we have Jupiter in Taurus, and Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and is also in Taurus. And not only that, but we have some interesting placements within this Jupiter and this Mercury as well. So Jupiter will be conjoined the North Node. So the ruler of the moon will be conjoined the North Node. So the North Node of the moon in Taurus as well. So they'll be very close together in the sky. Now, the North Node of the moon has a very strong, important significance when it comes to spiritual growth. So again, we have an emphasis in spiritual understanding and spiritual integration as well. So this Jupiter close to the North Node will be giving an extra charge of energy. And because it's with the full moon there, we have a double extra charge of energy when it comes to evolution and spiritual evolution. And because that North Node is in Taurus, it has an emphasis on the Taurian principle as well. So as well as having the learning and the information of that sun moon in the Jupiter Gemini axis, we also have great emphasis in Taurus. So a lot about grounding and finding a spirituality that also grounds you. So we're not only talking about spirituality that takes you away from reality and takes you away from the ground, but a type of spirituality that can put you on the ground as well. And I think nature can be a wonderful place to do a ritual during this full moon. I mean, full moon rituals are usually great when we can do them in nature, but this one in particular, because of these emphasis in Taurus, because of that Jupiter with the North Node as well. Now, another interesting thing that feeds on this placement of Jupiter with the North Node is Mercury and Uranus together as well in the sky. So at the moment of the full moon, Mercury will be applying to conjoin that Uranus. So it will be coming close to Uranus. So Jupiter is at 19 Taurus, and Uranus, sorry, not Jupiter, Mercury is at 19 Taurus, and Uranus is at 20 Taurus. So when they're like together like that, so when they're coming together, it really represents some very sudden lightning bolt insights and fast thinking as well. So not only there is an emphasis on evolution there with that Jupiter conjoined the North Node, but also becoming aware of it in our minds, having some our minds becoming very sharp about what needs to be done, some information really coming towards us. I think there is great emphasis on information in this full moon. So it'd be great if you can take some time, make some space for you to meditate, clear your mind, so you can really receive and channel this information. Because of the emphasis on Taurus, it could be connected with security, it could be connected on how to build security, how to build a stronger sense of self-worth, how to have more clarity around your values as well. A situation that's not aligned with your values will become very obvious during this full moon as well, and it will become very obvious in battles of disagreements around beliefs, which are usual connected with the full moon in Sagittarius as well. So becoming very aware of what your beliefs are will enable you to build stronger structures in your life that are based on your values as well. And this lunar cycle, this full moon, is placing great emphasis in that. So definitely having this sense of insight and this greater channeling of information that might be happening during this full moon. And another aspect, another interesting placement is Venus. Because we have such a great emphasis in Taurus, we have the North Node, Jupiter, Mercury, and Uranus in Taurus as well. We need to have a look at what Venus is doing, because Venus is the planet that rules all of those 4 placements, 4 points in Taurus during this full moon. So Venus is at 28 degrees Cancer. So we have an emphasis in Taurus and an emphasis in Cancer as well with that Venus, which shows a need for security as well, because both of those 2 signs are connected with security, needs for security. Now, Taurus will be talking about more grounded kind of security, and Cancer will be talking about an emotional sense of security there as well. It might be more intuitive as well, without Venus ruling all of those planets in Taurus and forming a trine to Neptune. So we might be feeling other people's feelings as well, and channeling some of these ancestral spiritual energy we might have access to without Venus in Cancer in trine to Neptune. I think that's kind of repeating what that Sabian symbol is saying about this moon, about this specific degree of Sagittarius. So Cancer talks about ancestral lines anyways, and that trine to Neptune really reflects the potential to transcend what we see as the concrete reality during this full moon as well, and receiving some important information. Another element with another placement there, another aspect, let's put it that way, that the Venus will be about to make is a slight more challenging one, which could be experienced after the full moon, because it will be happening after the full moon, and it relates to it relates to transmuting some of the things that we might become aware of. So the full moon is heavily connected with information, sharing information, coming across information, becoming highly aware of something, and potentially receiving some shocking news as well with that Mercury Uranus. But Venus coming to oppose Pluto. So when Venus moves to Leo, it will oppose Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. So Venus will move to Leo, and there'll be an opposition between the two. And that opposition really talks about some potential power struggles and in how we express our values as well, and what our role in the collective could be when we think about that Pluto in Aquarius. So if there is any pressure from a group of people of being something that we're not, we're going to become highly aware of that a few days after the full moon. So the great advice with this full moon is to really tap into this information that will come to you, that you will come across, because those insights can be very important on how you're going to deal with that opposition between Venus and Pluto that will be happening a few days later, and how to deal with that situation as well, how to best express yourself during that tense aspect in the sky, how to really stand by your values and become grounded in your values as well, because the North Node is still in Taurus, so it's still ruled by that Venus as well. So really, is a great full moon to tap into some powerful perspective and some of that spiritual ancestral wisdom as well that could be very important to sustain you during the next few days. So if you can, take the time during this full moon, spend some time by yourself or with a group of peers that have a similar worldview to yours, that share a spiritual, grounding there, and really use this time to become aware, to receive the information that you're going to be receiving very fast. With that Mercury Uranus is usually fast. It's very fast paced. Information comes very quickly. So if you can take the time and make that space, spend some time in nature as well to be grounded in your body during this time, you can receive some very valuable information that will be very helpful in the next few days after the full moon. Okay? So this is it. This is the key information that I have to share with you about this full moon. I'm wishing you all a wonderful and insightful and beautiful full moon, and I will be speaking to you soon.